up, Rolling Empire? I'm here all to give you guys my top 13 movies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, also known as the MCU. You know, with Captain America Civil War officially coming out on DVD and Blu-ray, I wanted to look back the past Marvel movies. I'm just going to be ranking these from Iron Man from 2008 to 2016's Captain America Civil War. But I just wanted to say a little bit of each of the movies, why I think I like them a little bit, why I think I dislike them a little bit. I'm not going to go full in depth into these movies, but I want to share my list, guys, and hopefully you guys can share yours after watching my video. Coming in at number 13 is Thor: The Dark World. The Dark World had, the best thing going for it, like every sequel. The first one, Thor already established everybody that we needed to know, the characters, whether it was Thor and Loki. And with this one out, we could just get into an adventure with them. I thought the adventure they had wasn't the strongest, especially how the villain was, created and how he was portrayed. But the best thing of this film was Thor and Loki. Their brother, relationship is just so relatable, and they feel like they're siblings. I just didn't like so much, especially like in the third act, how, the climax was being done, how it resolved. And I thought just there was too much like unnecessary characters, and the dialogue, which was okay. I just thought it was a little bit too comedic, and I didn't want to see too much of that. I really wanted to see more of a blend, just with some good drama and comedy. Coming in at number 12 is Iron Man 2. Iron Man 2 was such an entertaining movie, especially how great Iron Man was, but it did not live up to the success of Iron Man as much as I wanted it to. It was still good seeing like that Monaco race car chase sequence, and just seeing Iron Man and War Machine kick ass. I thought that was awesome, especially at the ending. It's just Ivan Vanko was not a really great villain. They tried to make him good, but he was alright. It's just, he could have been, he had so much potential and he didn't live up to it. Justin Hammer had more of a witty, kind of like dark version of Tony Stark in a way, and he was a little bit more entertaining. I just felt like, the action sequences were a little bit rushed, and then they tried to cram in so much stuff in there, and they couldn't really tell so well the Iron Man 2 storyline. But what I liked about it, was Tony Stark still killing it. Robert Downey Jr. The stories of Iron Man 2, like there's this one great part with Iron Man looking at his father through video. I thought that was emotional. I wanted to see more stuff like that. It just, the movie had potential, but it didn't live up to like the greatness of that Iron Man 1 was. Coming in at number 11 is Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3 is a great Shane Black film. All the Shane Black isms are in there with the dynamic duo, the comedy. It was great having it in Christmas. I loved it like that. It was so funny, and I loved just the chemistry, again with Iron Man and War Machine. The action sequences were incredible, like the airplane sequence, or Iron Man and War Machine taking on these extremist bots and taking on Guy Pearce's Ardrix Killian, and then seeing the bunch of Iron Man squad coming out. It was just great. But as an MCU film, I don't think it's really that good. And it's like Iron Man 2 had to cram so much of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Avengers. Iron Man 3, like, ignore that. Like, it's like they were listening to the fans or something. I really think it should have been opposite. Like, Iron Man 2 should have still been an Iron Man solo movie. This was before Avengers. Iron Man 3 should have focused more with, like, some S.H.I.E.L.D. stuff and just delved more into the post-Avengers. We got glimpses of that through the film, but I didn't think we delved into it too much. It was good seeing how Tony Stark will react to this post-Avengers, but I wanted to see it more, like, associate itself. And there were just some things that were off, like the villain, and how, like, every suit just be torn apart. It was just really strange. Coming in at number 10 is Thor. Thor, this is like Superman from Marvel. They were like, how are they going to make this relatable to us, normal people? And they did it the great way, by exiling Thor to Earth and just trying to make him get accustomed to planet Earth, how, different it is to his world in Asgard. And I thought that was great. That was so creative. That was like one of my favorite things that stand out of this film, just to see him adapt to our world. But then, it was great seeing the Thor world. We got a little bit of the Frost Giants also. The action sequence with like Thor taking on that destroyer thing and then taking on his brother Loki. That was great too. Coming in at number 9 is The Incredible Hulk. The Incredible Hulk is such an underappreciated film. I just love how, just how we get into the mind of Bruce Banner and just how, like, he has, like, these powers, but he doesn't want to keep them. But, it's just crazy how, like, the Hulk is a whole new other character. And it's just so good. And the villain for it was perfect. Okay, for this situation, you need a villain like that. And it was great Hulk taking on Abomination. Seeing them badasses kick ass. And I just love seeing the Hulk on the screen. He's just perfect. He's like the comic book Hulk. He's the animation Hulk that kids dreamed up. And yes, Edward Norton just does a good job, playing Bruce Banner and the Hulk. Coming in at number 8 is Captain America: The First Avenger. This really felt like we're harking back to some Indiana Jones days. I love what this place was set at. It was great that we needed to put Captain America at this time to get us familiar with him and then bring him to our world. It was kind of like Thor, but like we needed to get into his world first, and then he can relate back to us in our world at the the years that we are at modern day. And it was just great, and I love it. It was kind of campy, it was kind of cartoony, but it worked for it. And I'm glad that, they didn't make it very campy like the Captain America, maybe comic book days. But it still had that vibe. It just kept it more modern, still more hip. And it was just great. Red Skull, he was a great villain for this, time. And it's just great seeing, like, these neat Nazi-like characters. And it really reminded me of Indiana Jones. And they set the feeling for these 1940s. And they just did an incredible job representing what this character was with his origins film. Coming in at number 7 is Avengers Age of Ultron. A lot of people thought, since it didn't live up to number 1, it wasn't that great. For me, it's not better than the first. It's a great companion piece, but I still like the movie. It is kind of different from Avengers. It's still raising up the stakes. Like, everything is there, the Avengers. You still see the group come back. You see new additions with Vision, Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver. And it's just great. Like, now that we know more about them, we get to see more missions. We get to see them all take turns, getting some spotlight in the film. Seeing them go through stuff since, this is the second Avengers movie. They have gone through more. And they have their own solo films. And then the end sequence, climax, it was just great. It took it to another level, literally. Just what they had to go through. And I was very satisfied. I had a good time watching this thing. It was so fun. It's great seeing Iron Man, War Machine, kick ass a little bit again together. Seeing the whole group do that 360 shot, with Cap and Hulk and Iron Man, everything was just amazing. I didn't think a 360 shot from the first Avengers could top it. I don't know if it did top it, but that second one is a good, comparison. It really rivals it. Coming in at number 6 is AntMan. After having so many MCU films for a couple years, it was great going back to, like, the roots of how Marvel started, having an origins with Ant-Man. And this is a comic book character not a lot of people were familiar with, but they did a good job establishing who he was. It was very unique just seeing his, fights and how he has to go with his training. Just him taking on Yellow Jacket was just very different, and I'm glad that, we brought it back to where it's something more, like, not worldwide known, but it's more just location where they just fought on, like, the streets or something. And Paul Rudd just kills it as Ant-Man, and they were just able to blend comedy with action with drama so well, and every character was just so funny, and I feel like it had a purpose for, like, how to complement each of the characters. And really, this is an overall pleasant surprise of a film, but it's so funny, and I just love the whole father and daughter dynamic relationship. It just gives that extra edge, because we never really see Avengers be parents, and this one's a parent, so there's something new that the MCU didn't do in the past few films. So overall, Ant-Man is just a really great time of a film. Coming in at number 5, these are like the juicy, really great A+ ones. Coming in at number 5 is Iron Man. Iron Man is the one that started all. Introduces what we were going to get for this universe. How everything was set with tone. This one started it how it needed to. We needed to start somewhere small. We needed to start somewhere grounded. We got a character that not a lot of people were familiar with, but comic book fans love Iron Man. Robert Downey Jr. killed it as Tony Stark. And we were able to see how this, universe blossom, what it could be, the potential that it was going to have in store for us in the future. And just seeing Iron Man having this amazing origins and see how that character flips, 360, 720 and becomes the hero he becomes that we all know. And just seeing him take on Jeff Bridges' Ironmonger, it was great seeing this, like, almost like father son or like brother or like friendship dynamic torn apart, and see them take on each other. Jon Favreau does a great job just doing the sequences of Iron Man flying in the sky and then going back to the Iraq area, like over there in Afghanistan, and getting revenge on those that pushed him to the edge, and then just seeing him take on Ironmonger at the end. This really was something, it was groundbreaking for what it was, and Iron Man really paves the way for the future films. And this movie, yeah, was one of the greatest ones to come out of it. And then, it's really hard to say that others are better than it, but there are others that just rank almost just a little bit higher that just were as amazing as Iron Man. Coming in at number 4 is Guardians of the Galaxy. Guardians of the Galaxy, this needed to be a comedy, especially with James Gunn's flavor. My goodness, it was so hilarious. Marvel does comedy, in the other films, but in this one it needed it, and it felt so original, the comedy. You can tell everybody was just having a good time. I love Chris Pratt as Star-Lord. It was great seeing Chris Pratt get a role like this. Zoe Saldana, Batista, everybody was good, She's been in multiple space characters. She's familiar with this. Saldana. Batista, he's a wrestler coming in as an actor now. He did a good job for not having a lot of, acting experience prior. James Gunn did well with how to, use them in the film. Vin Diesel, Bradley Cooper, they're amazing as voices of Groot and Rocket. They're like Chewbacca and Han. That type of chemistry was so, fun to see that in this Marvel universe. This is Marvel Star Wars. The space battles, everything is just feels like Star Wars, but it also feels like the Marvel version. It still had its unique taste, and I just can't compliment enough how much James Gunn did this film. This is a Marvel movie. This also feels like so much like a James Gunn, but it benefits for that universe. And just seeing them all come together, become this new family, and just take down the evil villain with Ronan. You just love that type of family bond, friendship, and it just feels so nice how they all come together. They're just these bandits. They hate one another. They're like, the unlikely heroes, but then they have to come together and, stop the greater good. And it's great how they mature from the beginning to the end of the film. It has heart to it, with especially Star-Lord's, background. And Guardians of the Galaxy, really, oh my God, it's such a fun movie. But when it came out, oh my God, it's just one of the best superhero movies. This really was originality at one of its greatest times. Coming in at number 3 is the Avengers. The Avengers is that chapter that once Iron Man came out, I'm like, how's the Avengers going to be? Did it all pay off for something? And it did. And it was just so magical. The first time ever seeing a bunch of superheroes from their movies coming together to team up. Iron Man, Hulk, Captain America, Thor. They all came to step up with Black Widow and Hawkeye. They all showed up, kicked ass. It was such a great time seeing them all, fight these Chitauri, Hulk having so much fun, and then Iron Man just, blasting everybody, Captain America with his shield, Thor with Mjolnir. I felt like a kid again, and just, this didn't need to have some kind of great background. It didn't need to have, this amazing story. It was still good. For an Avengers story, they adapted it so well. You still get a little bit background for the characters, get a refresh minder. But this movie, you should have came in known already that, what you were going to see. You already had the other movies to establish, and this one was the one that had to pay it off. And it paid it off so well. It just had, the tension, the emotion. It just had the stakes. You just felt like everybody's in danger. But, having these characters around, it just feels so relatable. They work with one another. They fight. It's like family. Okay? But then at the end of the day, just like the Guardians did come and just face the greater evil. Now, coming in at 2 and 1, boy, these are hard. These are like right now the golden child, the magnum opus of Marvel. My goodness. But I had to choose it like this. Coming in at number 2 is Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Wow, what a film. Seriously, this is not only just a great Marvel movie, it's a great film. This really was like the answer to for Marvel's The Dark Knight. I just didn't know what to believe. I expected like just a sequel to the first Avenger, and I got so much more. It felt very espionage. It felt like a spy thriller. Captain America, boy, he was like on the run. Who thought you'd see that? A guy that stood up for his country, kind of betraying him. And really, this really shook the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I was just blown away with how the Russo brothers did the action sequences. I loved getting the introduction of Falcon. We're getting more Black Widow. You know, we're getting very familiar with her. It's great seeing them both team up with Captain America. Some great villains came out of this. Robert Redford killed it as his character. Alexander Pierce, and then Sebastian Stan came and played hard with the Winter Soldier. He, you know, went from Bucky to Winter Soldier. It's like Robin and Nightwing type of thing. His villain kicked ass. You know, I just love that it made the heroes have something to challenge, and you know, it's just great seeing how this really was kind of like a newer chapter into what the Marvel Cinematic Universe was. And it's just an incredible film, guys. Now, coming in at number 1, you guys know what it is. I named 12 already. There's only one more missing. At number 1, my favorite movie so far of the MCU is Captain America Civil War. This was a different chapter now. This was a new chapter for the Russo brothers to take from the Winter Soldier Civil War. It just felt like this was a new era we're going into the MCU now. The Avengers have broken apart into 2 teams. You know, it's like the government-sanctioned Avengers and like the secret Avengers. You know, you can agree with both sides, but they don't agree with one another, and this is what leads us to us fight for them fighting the airport scene. The airport scene is one of the best comic book scenes I've seen ever. I'm like, you know, out of every movie you've seen from Marvel or DC, who would have thought that there was still something new? It was great seeing them all share, have their spotlight, have a couple minutes of all characters. It's crazy how the Russo brothers were able to juggle every single character and still give them time. It feels like we knew all of them. And got something maybe new from them. And it's just great seeing them from the other films. I loved that they established them so well, giving them their origins, giving them their team-ups. It pays so well off with Civil War, just knowing where each person has been. It's like the Iron Man franchise collided with the Captain America franchise, having, you know, also the people they met at the Avengers, and then having, you know, the friends of Tony with War Machine, or Steve with Bucky or Falcon. It was just incredible. And then the climax topped it off. We had something amazing to something incredible. Just seeing Tony, you know, finding out what happened to his parents, you know, with Bucky, and that's how Steve still comes in and defends him. And we have this other just matchup with Tony and Steve, and it felt so real. The emotions, you know, every action sequences in this had a story to tell for it to happen, and it felt like we weren't just watching some popcorn, like, you know, action blockbuster scenes. It felt like we're watching really emotional drama, just fight sequences that, you know, that had so much story weighing over it. And yes, the Russo brothers, they have nailed it for these 2 Captain America movies. I'm excited to see what they can do in Infinity War now. Direct a little bit of the Guardians, bring in Hulk and Thor now, see what they can give them. And seriously, the Captain America Civil War put the MCU, you know, somewhere where it has even greater heights to achieve, and I feel like it can do it. And, you know, just when you think it might feel repetitive, they bring out something fresh, something new. It's great seeing Spider-Man in this movie too. I love how we had Iron Man story, Captain America story, Black Panther story, just cutting in through, and it fit so well. Every character had a purpose in this movie. And it just set the map on for a great Phase 3 for the MCU. And there you go, guys. Those are my thoughts of my favorite top 13 MCU films so far, from Iron Man to Captain America Civil War. Let me know, guys, what you thought are your favorite movies in the comments below. Having Thor the Dark World be the worst is not a bad thing. It's still a good movie. It's just the least favorite of mine in the universe. Having Captain America Civil War be their best, it's just something incredible that not a lot of franchises can appreciate, and they have something going on where they're making not just good comic book movies, but good films. And as always, Roland Empire, laugh, smile, repeat.